These are unprecedented times for the global economy, and that's an understatement. The pandemic has set back the world economy by decades. Alarm bells are ringing at the IMF and World Bank. Pressure is mounting on these institutions to help the poor countries. Advanced economies are the worst hit. How is the world coping? Here's a report.
In these times, even the most grim economic forecasts show a sense of optimism. It's hard not to try and find hope in circumstances not seen since the Great Depression. Today, the world is staring at an economic collapse, possibly the worst in nearly 100 years. The coronavirus pandemic has undone decades of economic development, threatening to push more people into poverty. How things change in 3 months. In January, the International Monetary Fund said that the world economy would grow by about 3% in 2020. Now it says the world economy is drained. Forget growth, says IMF. The global economy will contract by 3% this year. Let's begin the survey of the global economic damage with the Global South. Coronavirus is sure to end Asia's 60-year growth streak, according to the IMF. That means zero growth in 2020. This is much worse than the global financial crisis of 2008. That year, Asia grew at 4.7%. Take the region's worst financial crisis, the Asian currency crisis in the 1990s. Even then, Asia grew at slightly more than 1%. Moving to Latin America, the IMF predicts the worst recession in half a century. 1 out of 3 people could lose their jobs in South America. That's 200 million people unemployed on a single continent. In Africa, nearly half the jobs could be lost without urgent action. In the global north, the advanced economies are the worst hit. The IMF sees them shrinking by at least 6% this year. That's a negative growth rate. The United Kingdom's GDP could contract by 35% this quarter. A truly global recession is rare. It's on now. Both advanced and emerging economies are in deep trouble at the same time. The total output loss could be around $9 trillion. Who will pay? So far, the IMF has mobilized nearly $8 trillion, but there is a shortage of public finances, especially in poorer countries. Nearly $2 more trillion are required to support developing economies. The IMF has also received over $11 billion as pledge from 5 countries. Japan, the United Kingdom, France, Canada and Australia have contributed. The G20 countries have suspended debt repayments. This will free up at least $20 billion in poorer countries for fighting the pandemic. Now China has urged the World Bank to do the same. Defer loan payments. Perhaps China should lead by example. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.